Fiber splicing trench cut. I'm Chris with Blind Grind. Today we're going to be discussing adding a remote to an existing fiber cable that's already buried in the ground with no splice points in sight. If these videos are helping you guys, hit that like and subscribe, show me some love, and I'll keep making them for you. Pay very close attention to the counts in this because that's where it's going to mess you up. Okay, so following alongside the road, there's a cable. It's buried in the ground 3 or 4 feet deep. There's the road, there's the cable in black. The telephone company wants to add a remote right there. Now what's going to happen is the buried crew is going to come out here with the excavator. They're going to dig up a big ditch, a trench, to expose a large section of that cable. For about 20 feet of it in the middle, they're going to make the hole real wide and big for us to be able to get down in and stand and put our tables to end up laying this cable across the top of our table. We'll have our tables set up right next to each other down in this trench. Now, if you're standing in the middle of the road looking at that ditch, you have to imagine that if you were to cut this cable in half, right, you could swing up this end of it and swing up this end of it. They could come through BD7. But then there's no section of cable connecting the two anymore. So that's what we're here to do, plus add a cable that goes to the remote. So ultimately our new piece of 96 fiber is going to replace what we've cut and swung up through these pads over to it. We're just creating splice points basically. Here's how we do it. They're going to run a big loop of cable in a big circle around. We're going to tape to this side. We're going to dress it as if we were building a splice case on the table. Well, we are on the table or in the trailer on both sides. This side has a 24 fiber coming out of it as well that goes to the remote. So on the CO side of this trench cut, we've just got two 96s, the one that's still solid running straight through and the new end taped to it. Field side, we've got the 96 taped to it and the 24 fiber that goes to the remote. We're going to mid-enter that 96 count cable that's existing, that's running through the ground. We're going to mid-enter it long ways, not in a loop. We're going to expose 15-20 feet of it. Then we're going to open up our new cable ends, the 96s on both sides and the 24 on that one side. We're going to break that cable down to the tubes and put them in our trays, and with enough buffer tube length to wrap your basket. Make marks with Sharpies, a little piece of tape, something to know. We're going to mid-enter those buffer tubes in the cable that we just mid-entered. We're going to ring our other buffer tubes and get our buffer tubes into the trays, felted down, zip tied into the trays. Then we're going to break them one fiber at a time. The blue fiber out of the blue tube, break it, splice it to the blue fiber out of the blue tube of the 96. It then goes through and continues on. So here's our counts. So whoever's on the CO side of this trench cut's got an easy job. They straight splice 1 through 48, leave 49 through 96 laying in the bottom of the basket. Whoever's on the remote side of this trench cut is gonna straight splice through the 296 count cables 1 through 36. Whenever we get into that brown buffer tube, however, we're going to have the blue and orange buffer tubes of that 24 count cable going to the remote. Okay, fibers 1 through 10 splice straight through brown tube to brown tube of the 96 count cables. Fibers 47 and 48 of the 96 count, the CO side, that new piece that's we've just taped up, not the existing piece. It's our field side. The new CO side is that new cable. We're going to take the rose and aqua fibers of the blue buffer tube and splice them to the rose and aqua fibers of the brown buffer tube from that new 96 count cable. They go into the remote. Now coming back out of the remote in the orange buffer tube on fibers rose and aqua, they will splice to the field side, brown buffer tube, rose and aqua. So basically 47 and 48 come from the CO. They go straight through the CO side of that splice. They make it to the field side of that splice. They enter the blue buffer tube on rose and aqua. They go into the remote. They come out of the remote on rose and aqua of the orange buffer tube, and they splice to the rose and aqua of the brown buffer tube heading into the field, the existing cable that was already in the ground. It's got dirt on it. I know that's hard to wrap your head around. Well, it is until you get used to it. But if anybody has any questions, drop me a comment, shoot me an email. I hope that helps somebody develop a mental image of what we're trying to do out there.